Okay, hello. I'm finally getting around to doing this one. This is the Syko Stu, Roger Jackson, beating this dude up. I'm not gonna. What do I want to say? I'm not gonna go through the backstory of all this and explain what is going on here. Hopefully, you're already familiar with the story of what's happened to this point. Okay. Um, Supposedly, Syko Stu does something earlier on in the day to upset this character. He apologizes. This guy accepts the apology, but doesn't really accept the apology, and then supposedly beats the crud out of him in the ring later on at this fight that's going on, this wrestling fight. This guy's an MMA fighter. This guy is a wrestler. Okay, so we know that the wrestling stuff's all staged anyway. He thought he was doing a staged thing with him, and supposedly this guy got so upset that he just lost it and beat the poo out of him. Anyway, if you watch how this all transpires and what goes on here, I have my own thoughts on whether this is real or not. I've still got a funny feeling it's staged. If you look at the way this dude swings and takes his punches, they're very big swings. It makes it look like something, and it's difficult to say. It really is. It really, truly is difficult to say. But if you were to, I don't know, take a big swing at your knee and slap yourself on the knee, like this guy is punching, you can see that it could potentially be, maybe not as much power behind these punches as it looks like there is. And also, if you do watch it, a lot of the punches actually are very glancing blows, and some of them completely miss altogether. So difficult to tell if it's staged or not. Most people think this is real. I have my doubts because of all the numbers and all the everything else that's behind this. So I don't want to waffle on about this for too long, but anyway, this is what we're decoding. So hopefully you're caught up with this whole thing. This took place on the 23rd of August. This is super duper important, this date. We're going to come back to it in a minute. In fact, maybe I ought to just start on the 23rd of August, because this is a date that's shown up before, and we have to go back to a film that actually revolves around, again, fighting, okay? And it's the release date of Snatch, okay? It's the Guy Ritchie film, right when Guy Ritchie was with Madonna, and he brought out that film, Snatch, with Brad Pitt in it. Yeah, we have the pie key reference. Yeah, Brad Pitt's playing a pikey, an Irish tinker, and so we have the PI key reference. Okay, so all this references to pi, yeah, which is the number 19, 91, and P and I. Okay. Anyway, the whole film is revolving around fighting. Okay. No doubt, I haven't even looked into it yet, but there's no doubt these numbers in here probably tie in with Fight Club as well. Okay, and obviously Brad Pitt ties in with Fight Club, obviously, because he's in it. But again, I mean, I'm sure there's probably dozens of little references in Fight Club and in Snatch to this. But right now I'm not doing that. But the date of the release, one of the dates of the release of Snatch is, what do I want to say? The 23rd of August 2000. Okay, so 23 is showing up, and this whole thing happened on 23 August. Yeah, just as we saw I've just been talking about all of this stuff with the spitting thing with the NFL opener game. Okay, and so this is all going to tie back in. Again, Kobe Bryant. I just noticed this. I haven't watched Zach's video yet, but he had a picture of Kobe Bryant with the Eagles stuff on. Kobe Bryant was an Eagles fan. Maybe he's still watching the Eagles there with David Bowie. This was the picture I think that Zach had up with the number 5 on it. He's got the cross on, and so an Eagles fan. So this is his birthday, is the 23rd of August, 78 is his birthday, okay? So super fascinating, right? Anyway, what we need to do is we need to go through some of these number jumps with these two characters that are in this thing, right? But I've got to set you, I've just got to set you up with the reference with the 23rd of August 2000. So this is the release of Snatch with all the fighting in it. Okay, through to a certain date we're going to start looking at now. This will become clear why we're looking at this date as we go through this video. Okay, and through to 1022 is 9191. Okay, now half the reason we were looking at the earlier date of the 1st of September for something to happen with the Hoover Dam, maybe with Madonna, we were looking at 820 stuff, which we're going to see a lot of in this video as well, with Madonna. This is all, you can see how this is all tying into previous decodes here with the double 91 here, yeah, pi, yeah, and that's what the 1st of September was this year. It was pi from the 1st of the start of World War II. Okay, right, so bear that in mind. Also bear in mind the fact that, I think I've got it right here, is that Madonna to that date there is 67 years 67 days old through, okay, to this 1022 date coming up. Again, let me just show you something with 67. Yeah, 67 is the 19th prime. 67, 1919 again, okay? Oh man, I mean, I tell you what, if you've been watching my videos and it was kind of a little disappointing on the 1st of September, nothing happened. And obviously the earlier couple of dates as well, nothing really happened. But the stuff that's happening now is still tying in back with that date and forward on, to this next date of 1022. Now, what was interesting about this is we just did all the decodes with the 1022 that connected into the Blast from the Past store and Back to the Future, Diana. Everything's just tying together so nicely right now. The thing is, where do you get off the roundabout? I'm not quite sure. So, but this next date that's coming up for Madonna is 1022. Seems a bit obvious. With, where is it? I got it in here somewhere. Die Another Day. October the 22nd, 2002. This song by Madonna that was for the James Bond film. We've done all the, we've talked about that film before. They start off with the hovercraft chase in the film, and there's just dozens of little references that we've talked about already. There's a couple other little ones. I've got a couple of new finds with that as well. One new find for sure that I'm going to share with you probably here in the not so distant future. Anyway, I'm just thinking where we ought to go with this now. So this whole thing, what I really need to do before we get into all the number jumps with these two wrestler dudes, I really need to just go back and clarify something that is really, really immense, and that is we did this decode with Madonna and Eli Manning to do with so this is iPet Goat 2 here, to do with the Super Bowl and her Super Bowl halftime show. Now, notice that she's doing she's on the golden throne here, and this is the Hoover Dam behind her, and she's going to climb up on this, and she's got the goat headdress on, okay? And she does all this There she is climbing on the dam as the goat. Okay, so this is in the Super Bowl. The MVP of that Super Bowl was Eli Manning. Okay, notice that on the tears here on Madonna's face is you can get the word Eli with the E at the top, the L here on the next tier, and then the I here. So you can get the word Eli from this. Yeah. We've got the Super Bowl trophy. We've gone through this I don't know how many times. We've got this little pot here that is reminiscent of the Blast from the Past store pot in Back to the Future, which ties us back to Supertramps. It's raining again. We've just done so much with this. Everything's tying together. Well, we did the number jump for this. Okay, and the number jump is, let me show you this other part of this decode. Where is it? Where have I got it? Come on, it's right here. So this is the other part of this decode, is this ritual they did at the Hoover Dam. They shone this image up, which is Colne FC. So again with soccer this time, football. Okay, but the football reference with the goat climbing on the dam. Are you getting this with the halftime show with Madonna, the goat climbing on the dam, the Twin Towers here, yeah, because we're dealing with the twins again, and essentially in this little story we were dealing with Eli Manning and Peyton Manning. Okay. Anyway, 1FC. If we change the FC 2 numbers, this is 6-3. Okay. Now. Okay, 163 took us to, let me show you the number jump. No. Oh, blimmin' hell. Well, I got it. I thought I had it in here. Yeah, here it is. So from Eli's birthday, yeah, because that's what we're dealing with, the birth of the son, through to, and we were doing this date. We were looking at this date. We were looking at the 20th of August, okay, was 163, okay, days. 163, yeah, 1.FC. That's what's on, you know, the number and the 2 letters, okay, on that image with the goat there. So this was part of the reason why this date looked really interesting. And I'll tell you what, the 820 stuff has not stopped. There's a ton of 820 stuff in here that you're going to see in a minute. Okay, notice it's 44 years. Super interesting as well. Again, we then moved on, because that date didn't come out, we then moved on, or you know, I was like, well, it does also work for this date here, which is the 30th, because I'd been seeing a lot of stuff for the 30th as well with Madonna. So we moved on to this date, because we have the 163 and then the Twin Towers, Colne Cathedral in the background of that picture, giving us the 11. So we had this date. So I was like, wow, that could work for this day as well, you know. Anyway, nothing, you know, again, nothing transpired. We had the Rudy Giuliani thing occur on that date, which was fairly interesting, but nothing really major. But anyway, again, right, there is another date that works for this number jump that is in that decode there, and I actually explained it, but we never did it. But I'll click it on and we'll go through and I'll show you what that date is now. Okay, I'll get rid of this. 16363. Okay, this takes us out to 1022. When I saw this the other day, I was just absolutely, oh my goodness, I was just absolutely blown away, because I just got done doing all of the 1022 stuff with Supertramp and the Blast from the Past store, and then to see this come out, 16363, was just mental. Now, why is that important, right? Because if we come back to the, oh, I've got a load of scribble in here. Let's get rid of all this scribble for a minute. Okay, if we come back to the chart of Lorraine, this is the middle of our chart, so to speak, and it's these two numbers here that we're really interested in. Okay. Now, these two numbers will give us an approximate, all these numbers in here will give you some kind of approximation to the golden ratio, right? If I just take a number and then divide it by the preceding number, okay, it will give me an approximation for the golden ratio. This is important. Now remember, Madonna, her birthday is to do with phi, yeah, essentially the number, the transcendental number that is associated, which is the golden ratio, so to speak. Okay. She's all dressed up in gold on her golden dam there, doing all her stuff. She is so tied to the golden ratio, it's not funny, right? So getting the golden ratio out of here, or an approximation of the golden ratio, is super duper important. Now 1118, I just happen to, through my number doodling over the years, know that from looking at this before, that 18 divided by 11 is 1.63, but it doesn't just stop there, it keeps going. It's just 63, 63, yeah, so this 63 is reoccurring here, okay? So again, that is super, the fact that that came out, I honestly couldn't believe it. When I saw that, I was just like, oh, it was like that. Oh my goodness. Now we're looking at another day. And I know I've done this before with the 1022. This is in the dollar bill. 1022, I've talked about it before, is in the dollar bill. And I've talked about it in conjunction with Madonna before. It just seems a little obvious of a date, though, to be the date because of Die Another Day. Okay, Madonna's just going to die on another version of 1022. Or another 1022 date. Again, kind of my theory on that was it was similar thinking to Zach's thing with Prince, his prediction with Prince. I've never seen his prediction with Prince. I would love to see what kind of stuff he was looking at. But he had the Die For You reference with Prince's death and the date he dies on. Okay. Anyway, so I'm losing my train of thought here, but so this is absolutely unbelievably crazy. Okay, absolutely unbelievably crazy. And to top it off, I think in here I'll show you two more things. So we just had the Super Bowl. I guess this is the kickoff to Super Bowl because it's the first game of the season. Okay. So essentially, yeah, because that leads on and then leads on and leads on to the Super Bowl. So anyway, so this is the first game of the season here, 9-4. If we go 48 days on from this date, it's going to take us to this 10-22 for Madonna again. Now, again, why was this interesting? Let me just take you to this other chart, which is just a different version, basically, of this. I showed you that all the 4-4s that were showing up in that game, you could see that, the numbers that precede this 4-4, so there was a bunch of 4-4 stuff showing up in the first game of the year, right? They stopped the clock at 4-4-4 left in the third quarter, yeah? Again, that date is super duper important. The date that it occurs on, 9-4, because it ties into this 4-4. Yeah, and then what's tying in after that is again 4-8. Go 48 days and we're getting to this date for Madonna, okay? This 22nd of October date. I will just say one other thing. I've got the golden ratio down the bottom here. This is just the first 24 digits, and they've been synchronized in various ways, but you will notice that 94, 80, 84 numbers, they're in here. You notice that, the 8, 9 tying in, the 98 with Jalen Carter, yeah, with the spit thing, and then again we've got the 48 on the other side of this. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. Notice this other golden ratio that's synchronized down here as well is also synchronizing with the 33. Yeah. Yeah. Madonna's numbers in here at the middle of this thing. There's her palindromic birthday in the golden ratio. Yeah, in phi. Anyway, okay, let's go back to this because this is going to take forever otherwise. So anyway, what I noticed was a couple of very interesting things. Let's just do the Peyton Manning thing before we get off of this. Peyton Manning, that was so important with Aussie, and again, his tie back to football, and we did all that decode with the clock, with the 66 D-Day reference and 88 days on, took us to 9-1. Okay, so he's referencing into the 1st of September, or just the number 9-1 pi again. Notice that his name, if you took Old English way of writing pi, you could rearrange pay to pi, okay? Notice that his birthday gives us the 1818 again, like we had the 18018 with Aussie's death on 7/22 that tied in with the football references with Peyton Manning. Anyway, this is another 1818 number coming out at the 21st of October. So this is the day that's actually occurring in Back to the Future with the hoverboard scene, yeah, with the Hoover Dam stuff and the blast from the past. And to get to the 22 reference, the deal there with the 22 reference is that on the newspaper that they're looking at, that's just from the next day in the future that they're trying to affect, okay, is the 22 date, okay, is 10/22, okay. Notice how that changes also to, on the end of this number, 10 or 109, okay. Again, that, I mean, I'm just not going to go back through it, but it's just super important, and it is actually really important for the next date that's going to be coming up that I'm going to show you in the dollar bill. So this date isn't what I would peg for the Hoover Dam. The next date on for the Hoover Dam would actually be the 10th of November that we'd be looking at, into the 11th of November, into 11/11. Okay. Anyway, let's get back to, so you can see this 10/22 that's showing up, let's just go through a couple of other 10/22 stuff. Note that Doc's, yeah, Christopher Lloyd's birthday. We need to do that as well. I'm kind of forgetting what I've done now. Where's Christopher Lloyd at? I thought I had him in here. Okay. Christopher Lloyd's birthday also is October 22nd, 38, yeah. Happens to be 86 years. So if something was to happen to Madonna, we would have this 8-7 reference with him. Notice that next year would be extremely interesting with him because he'd be 88. But again, October the 22nd, again, this date here to this day, 86 years, again with Madonna's numbers with the 186, or sorry, 861. What was I going to say? This is extremely interesting. Obviously with the idea of 86ing something. What was I going to? I was going to say something as well. What the hell was I going to say? I can't remember now. I've lost my train of thought again. Oh, the 87. So it'd be 87, right? Sorry, it'd be 87 on this year. The release day of Who's That Girl, the film, okay, that ties us directly back into Back to the Future and the DeLorean being smashed up by the train, the blue and yellow train we're talking about, that's also in Who's That Girl. The release date for Who's That Girl is 8787, okay, the 7th of August 87, okay. So that would be extremely interesting as well. And also the train, let me just do this little bit as well, and then we can get onto these blooming wrestlers. The train itself, I don't have the train in here. So the train itself in Back to the Future going off the cliff, this 131 train, if we look at this accident that happened in Paris on the 22nd of October 1895. If we do the number jump from this through, it would be 130 days. 130 years on, and you could include end date and get 131. So 130 years and 1 day is what you can get out of this accident through to this upcoming 22nd of October. Again, I think I might have mentioned it. It's actually my sister's birthday. That's how I even know about this train crash. We happened to buy a poster years ago. Ended up on the wall. The poster was bought because it's my sister's birthday. Okay. So this is extremely interesting. This whole train here has a lot of, it has the 127 numerology in it, the 186 numerology in it. It's, you know, got a ton of references really to Madonna. And I'm trying to think, there was something else that I wanted to. Oh, and again, if you went to next year, this would actually be 131 years ago. So again, there's some stuff coming out for next year as well, which is kind of like, oh, I don't know if I can last out doing this level of, I say amount of decoding up until that point, because if the stuff keeps coming like it's been coming, there's just tons of it right now, absolute tons. I don't know what else to say apart from, you know, I mean, I don't know what you guys out there think, whether you're seeing lots and lots more references or lots more connections, but it's just crazy right now. Anyway, so that's the train crash took care of. Again, that will time very nice. And don't forget, the train in Speed, yeah, that comes up out of the ground, is resurrected, so to speak. The train that comes out, don't forget Madonna's gematria matches up with train. That train that comes out of the ground there has the number 13 on it, okay, rather than 131 like in Back to the Future. So again, in 131, Madonna's birthday through to Christmas is 131 days. So there's multiple. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be next year. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be this year. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be. It's definitely being the number 13 or the number 131. I don't know. I'm trying to say there's, you know, multiple ways of looking at that as to exactly what the exact meaning is, but everything's overlapping. All right. Oh, just one other thing. We did talk about the Phoenix in that last video as well, and the idea that, you know, the outfit that Doc had Marty dressed in with the Phoenix. At the end of that show, at the Super Bowl, they do have the Phoenix referenced again. So that was, I just thought that was just worth another mention. In fact, we could probably see it towards the end of this. This stage sort of turns into the Phoenix. Oh dear, okay. There's the Phoenix there, okay. Right, let's start going through some of these dates with Syko Stu and Raja, and we can see how these tie in with Madonna. And also, we're going to look at the sun again, because, you know, like we were looking at Eli there being the Jesus Christ character. We're going to look at how some of these dates tie in with Rocco Ritchie as well, okay, Madonna's son. So the first one we want to look at, and the first thing to note is, look at this. You've got two dates. This is always suspect when we're getting two dates for his date of birth here, and they're like miles apart as well. You know, August the 22nd, 80, and then November the 16th, 80. Completely random. I can't even be bothered to try and find out if one's right and one's wrong. Why the hell they've got two dates in here, I just can't be bothered to even try and find out, to be quite honest. There's two dates in here. We're just going to use them. Okay. First one, Madonna's through to the 11/16 date with Syko Stu, which is, and I will say one other thing. My sister, her husband's name is Stuart. Okay, so Stu is just another. Anyway, you'll notice that number jump there, 8128, I believe we've seen this one before. Can't remember in what context it was, but what you'll notice is it's a perfect number. All that means is that if you look at all these divisors here, you just add them all up, apart from 1828 itself. Don't add that in with the list. These will all add up to 8128. Okay, hence why your sum is double that number there. Okay, so that's your perfect number. All the divisors are just adding up to the number itself, apart from adding that itself into it, if that makes sense. Anyway, the 127th triangular, this is nuts. Madonna has that gematria, the 127. We're probably going to see that show up a little bit more as we go through this. In fact, I think there was a 127 thing. Oh, I don't know. 8043, this is Madonna's birthday through to this 822 date. And again, the 822 date, note October as the name for the 8th month, and the 22, yeah, we see that. This is the 14th Lucas number, minus the 0 out of it, of course. So that's the 14th Lucas number. It's also, in reverse, 248 is the Pluto return, the orbital cycle of Pluto, so the idea of restarting that cycle with Pluto. Again, all the connections in Back to the Future of Pluto. Also note this 843, look where this brings us on the 22 years, 7 days. Aussie connections again, because that was important with Peyton Manning. Of course, the shirts that Peyton Manning wore, 1818, for both of his teams. Again, when we did that number jump with Peyton Manning, it brought us out on Aussie's death date. And again, if you do the JL reverse alphabet decode on the name Aussie, it comes up as Ball. Okay, Baal. So Bale or Ball, like in football. Okay, and we did the Back to the Future decode with that and the Honda, yada yada yada. This is Roger's birthday, 5/2/2000 through to Rocco. Notice the 101, room 101. Yeah, where's Neo in room 101? Room 101, the Twin Towers, ground zero in between, you know, right there. This is the gateway into the metaphysical between the legs. Just as we'll see at the Hoover Dam, this gateway has to open up between the legs there at the bottom of the Hoover Dam. Gone through it, I don't know how many times we've gone through 101. Obviously, it's the day after the birthday of the Hoover Dam. Yeah, September the 30th, the 1st of October. Notice this 5/2 number showing up. Madonna did that Super Bowl on the 5th of February, 5/2 again. Note that The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, yeah, is born on this date. This is his 28th birthday, coincidentally, as we were looking before with The Rock and the 28 connecting with him with Rocco Ritchie's birthday, because we were looking at the Hulk, who was 47 on this birthday. It's just absolutely mental. So this is super connect. I mean, it's just seeing this number alone, it's just crazy. Anyway, let's just keep moving on. So I wanted to show you Raja's birthday now out to 9/1, 122 days. Just absolutely flipping insane. Okay, absolutely insane. If we move on again, because we're seeing all these 25s, and remember on the 4th and on the 5th, you could get, I think it was the 4th and the 5th, you could get Rocco Ritchie to be, we were doing the decode with Speed, with the bus that's 25/25 on top. We were doing that decode. Again, when we look at this, right, and we jump it up now, we got 125 showing up here, yeah? So not only have we got the 122 with the first, with the 9191 with Madonna there, but you get onto this 25/25 with Rocco, and we've got 125 showing up. Quite nice. My throat's really going as well, so I've got to hurry up here. So we've got the 25 being 25 years old. We've got the connection back with Speed with the bus that we've done before. I was going to put this in Just to note that we were dealing with this week in September. This is what's all being encoded right now. And as we went through, as I was looking through this, I didn't know where to put this in a video, but actually where Mad Dog gets arrested and the gang gets arrested for robbing the Pine City stage, 8:16 a.m. supposedly. So Madonna's birthday numbers there. Very interesting indeed. I didn't know where to put that in a video. Again, you know, let's just not. Again, it's just where do you put it in a video? Blimmin' hell. Okay. And I just re-referenced the Victory Day parade in China, this massive military parade that they did on the 3rd of September, marking the 80th years, anniversary since the end of the Second World War. Notice the wall here. We're dealing with the Hoover Dam, the wall. Notice the 80 Doc's getting shot over the matter of $80. They start the clock at 8. The clock starts, I think, at 8 o'clock. Okay, and I believe there's another. I believe they do that showdown at 8 o'clock as well. Okay, you just can't write this stuff. So this is what was really fascinating. Now we'll start doing some of these numbers because this is when I saw this. This is why I'm tying all this in together. This will become apparent now. So we go from 8/22, Syko Stu, one of Syko Stu's birthdays, through to 6/9. This is Michael J. Fox's birthday. Yeah, 16363. Oh wow. Okay, that is well interesting. Yeah, very, very interesting. In fact, I think in here I have his other birthday that he just so happens to have, the 11/16. I did the 163 days now. Check this out. 7/3, the 40th anniversary that we just had of Back to the Future, the release of Back to the Future. Absolutely mental. I mean, what? You just can't write this stuff. Let's just whiz on 63 days and just check that out real quick, just so you can see. Oh, here's 9/4 now. I mean, come on. This is just. This has got to be planned out, doesn't it? This is crazy. Okay. There was something else with this as well. What was the? Let's go back to this. What was the? Oh, I wanted to show you this 9/6 again with, this is September date, of course, but with the 6/9 with Michael J. Fox's birthday, again, the 127 showing up. The perfect number back there with the 127, Madonna with the 127. Just flipping crazy, And we can probably do this all day long, clicking through numbers and just talking and whatnot, but it's absolutely mental. So, why have we got this in? This is the wrong date here. Oh, why I've got that in there. That should be 1980. Let's go back to that. Probably was in between doing something. Was there something interesting? I can't remember if there was something interesting with this one or not. 1980 through to Rocco Ritchie. Let's just double check this. Nothing majorly interesting on that, but just bear in mind the number that you're seeing there. Okay. 729. Yeah, that's the white wedding number. Okay. The 29th. Again, back with Princess Diana. Again, yeah, Dak Prescott's birthday, 7/29, that just got spat on. I mean, it's just flipping nuts. Let's do the, I don't know if I did this one or not. Let's just double check it as well. So let's do the other date. Well, it's kind of interesting with the set. We've got the 9/4 in there again with Dak. And I mean, I don't think there's anything interesting with this. You've always got to double click these things just to make sure it ain't some crazy. So it does take quite a bit of time doing number jumps. So you have to do that and then double check your inclusive date. Thank goodness we don't do, because you could count dates 3 different ways. You could do, through to including the end date, and then you could just do not including you could just do the difference between the 2 days as well, if you really wanted to get creative with fudging stuff. What do I have in here? Nothing. Okay, let's keep going through. Okay, this was the letter in back. We've done, yeah, that's just from a previous video. Let's look at this one. This is Doc's birthday. Yeah, so this was the 87 that I was going on about with Who's That Girl release date. 10/22. Look at this. Yeah, 31777. Remember we were talking about, Eli and these numbers with the 317 or the 7. Actually, it'd be what would it be? 371. Yeah, to do Eli. Okay, so these numbers are connected with Eli. Okay, and again, was there something interesting? No, can't be bothered to click on off that. But I just thought that's worth a mention. I got a million number jumps. Again, this was the Peyton Manning one. To the day in Back to the Future. Got the 1818. You got the again. This is important with Madonna and this particular next date coming up, which would be November the 10th. You're saying, well, what you got November 10th there, Dan? Yeah, November being the 9th, named for the 9th month, November 10th. And so 9/11 is a repeat. If it happens over the course of this, if it happens over the course of, so November being named for 9, okay, so where you get to 11/11, we've got another 9/11. So essentially it's 11/11 goes to 9/11, and then again this, with this being November here, again the 10th, we've got I don't know, 9/1. We've got the 9/1 numerology going on with this date here. So it's just super interesting when I finally get through to doing a little bit more on this here on the next video. You'll see why this is, again, this is super duper interesting. Anyway, Peyton Manning stuff, and I'll tell you what else is interesting about that is that you can start looking at some of these other dates. I'll show you this one. Okay, on the Hoover Dam. Okay, 87 coming out, but you can get 88 on that, which is super duper interesting. And if we just backtrack, I'll show you this one. This is actually my birthday. Okay, and I'll tell you right now, this will be my 47th birthday, and 10/22 will be my sister's 45th birthday. You see those numbers with Donald Trump? Just crazy. But this is again 1881 or 18 palindromic 18. Mirrored. So that is absolutely, that would be mental as well. And then did I go through? I can't remember what I did with what this was with this particular date. Oh, check this out. Yeah. So no, I'm on the wrong date here. This, click on. I think I was doing. What was I doing? I can't remember. No, it was not that date. Hang on, let me backtrack. I want to show you one other 181 with him. It was this date. I think it might have been. Yeah, it was the 13th. So you remember in that other video, he was talking about the 13th. Yeah, the reason why that was interesting was because M, yeah, 13, and then J, and all these MJ references. So this was super duper important because of 181. I thought I had something else with Peyton Manning, and what was that? I don't know if I want to spend time messing with it right now. I can't remember what it was, but there was something interesting to do with, maybe it was one of the, I don't know. So we've done all that. We've done pretty much everything. There's some stuff in from the last video still in here. Again, yeah, June the 9th. I'm sure I had a couple other number jumps in here that were kind of interesting with, well, I can't remember. No, I'm thinking it was with this one, and no, that was that. Let's just drop back to the 11 as well to see if there was anything marginally interesting there. Not really. 419. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Done. That was pretty much the whole of it, I think. I don't think I've missed anything. We kind of number scooched. There was some other number scooching that oh, this was the other number scooching. Did we do this already? Well, I can't even remember what I've done in here now. But this was from Die Another Day through to this particular date. It's 23 years. So we've got the 23 showing up again, like with the 823. And it was 8401. I don't think there was anything interesting with that, apart from this 148 stuff was all to do with 28 days before 9/11, remember? And 148 is also to do with the difference between a Pluto year and an Earth year, okay? And we were looking at Magic Johnson, MJ again, and his birthday connecting in with, this potential death date of Madonna. Well, let me show you why this date is particularly interesting. I think I've got it in here next. This is his birthday through to 1022. And this is the birthday, actually, I wanted to click on, not Peyton Manning's. Let's see. His birthday through to the 1022, 66 years, 69 days. So we've kind of still got the 666 in there. And what I will say is if you go watch Madonna's video, What It Feels Like for a Girl, what was done by Guy Ritchie again, they reference this right at the end when she shuts the door just before she's going to crash in the Pontiac Firebird, yeah, with the Phoenix on it, okay. 669 is on the door, and she shuts the door, and the 6 flips around to a 9. Yeah, I think it's that way around, vice versa, I can't remember. But anyway, they basically reference 6, 6, and a 9 in that door shutting, and also a pyramid, because of the way the letters are on the door. It forms a pyramid. And again, Magic Johnson is the golden pyramid. Just keep going on about it, but that is the Magic Johnson that has to be, the MJ that has to be resurrected, okay? And again, this is super duper interesting through to this date, okay? Not to also mention the fact that if you include end date, we've got 667, the 67 showing up again. And also, if we just scoot through, and this is going to be the last thing, if we just scooch through to this day, okay? Do you see something here? So this 10th of November date that's also in the dollar bill, 66 years, 88 days. Now, when you go back to that clock in Back to the Future, I'll probably do a separate video on this, with Peyton Manning giving us the 6-6 reference with the Omaha call. So we know to go 66 is a reference with that clock. And then the other clock that has the X on it, which forms the pyramid, that has to be resurrected. There's kind of the clock's kind of at the bottom of that, if I could just talk about it. So on that 88 that's on that clock, and the clock kind of sits right here, so you kind of get the all-seeing eye, the eye of provenance thing referenced here. So it's a reference, could be a reference back to Magic Johnson. I hope I was saying Magic Johnson, not Michael Jordan or something. But anyway, Magic Johnson. This is the Magic Johnson, okay, and this clock has the 88 on it, okay, and so the clock next to it, the alarm clock, has the 66 and the 88. Oh, it's kind of interesting. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to leave it there because I think I'm going around in circles. I can't, for the life of me, think what I might have missed out of here. I think we've covered everything. Just whiz back through this stuff. Again, remember that Rocco Ritchie's birthday through to 9/4 was 25/25. Okay. Note that we had. You could also do. I guess it was when the clock starts as well in Back to the Future, which is important. 25/25, and then we also had, if you look at it from the number jump, we had Giorgio Armani die on 9/4, and 91, And there's somebody else I've got to now check out that Decoder Ring said about, and I think Coin Researcher might have mentioned as well. I don't know who mentioned it to me. But we're going to look at the is it the Duchess of Kent? I can't remember. Anyway, we're going to look at that here in a little bit. Anyway, he was 91 years, 55 days old when he dies on this day. Giorgio Armani. Okay, George. Yeah, the reference back St. George's Day. George, Marty's father. Yeah. Okay. I think that's it. We did this. The attack was then, and then we did the connection with. Hopefully, we did this. The connection with Snatch was through to 22 was 9191. Just go back over this stuff. Yeah. And Madonna on this particular date is going to be 67, 67. Okay. And 67 is the 19th prime. Okay. So it's just round in circles. Anyway, I'm leaving it there. Hopefully that wasn't too long. I hope that wasn't too painful. But I think we covered everything. I am going to hopefully trying to show you on the dollar bill where this stuff shows up next. Okay. But my voice is kind of going, and I actually need to go out and do some work. I've kind of been just faffing around today. Okay. Thanks for watching. All right. Bye.